of a sudden, Miami's offense is in gear. Last night, Martin Prado got the Marlins started. That was sweet. But watch this. A mammoth trick shot homer by Marcell OZUNA. It's the first Major League start for Kendry Flores. It's Miami and Philly. Come on into Miami on this Friday night. Lot to do, lot to see. Phillies and Marlins on a Friday night. This is a four-gamer, which got off to a good start for the home club yesterday. The Marlins outlasting the Phillies. Lots of runs, lots of offense. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz, along with Tommy Hutton. Welcome to Miami. Offense. The Marlins all of a sudden have it. And as a result, they've won 4 of 5 and 7 of 10.
It is fun to have when you have the offense and you put runs up on the scoreboard. If the Marlins continue to do that, the pitchers will just settle in. They like that offense.
Another guy that's having a lot of fun up from the minor leagues after a slump, Marcell OZUNA. That home run last night is something I don't think anybody in this ballpark had ever seen before.
I'm sure there are a lot of people around the country that had never seen it before that had a chance to see it on a lot of the highlight shows. But Marcell OZUNA has homered in 2 consecutive games. It started with the one he hit in Milwaukee. All of a sudden, OZUNA has a 3-game hitting streak. But then the one he hit last night that hit on the very top of the foul pole against Jerome Williams. No one has ever seen this before. He has hit this Philadelphia ball club exceptionally well. That was his 5th career home run against the Phillies with a batting average of about .350 in his career against the Phillies.
All right, you said offense is a lot of fun, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. 16 runs last night. That was fun, right? Except if you're the starting pitcher tonight and you've never started a game in the major leagues. Both starters are in that spot. Kendry Flores has pitched in the big leagues. This is his first start.
I guess it's safe to say Kendry Flores at 23 is a little more experienced because he has those 6 games. He has a win. He has a loss. He was in AA and AAA this year. And he throws strikes. I talked to a couple of scouts today. They like the fact that he throws lots of strikes.
Jared Eickhoff, this is not only his first big league start, this is his major league debut. One of the young arms the Phillies got in a flurry of trades.
Eickhoff is 25, and he came over with a slew of other pitchers from the Texas Rangers organization in the trade that sent Hamels to Texas. So he'll be making his major league debut tonight.
So a couple of major league debuts, and for the fish, Adeiny Hechavarria. We know he's got gold glove defense. My goodness, what a year he's having with the bat. When we get back, a closer look at Etch. on both sides of the ball. Let's go out to center field. Craig Minervini, Jeffrey Conine.
Thank you, Rich. You're right about that. Adeiny Hechavarria, everybody knew about his great Gold Glove caliber defense, even last year, anybody that watched him. But the offense has been coming on. It's been a work in progress in his career. And he is right now is at the top of all National League shortstops in batting average.
Yeah, when you look at his progression as far as batting has occurred over the last few years, you've seen him make a big strides. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons right there is right field, right center field. He's hitting to all fields right now. He's not too concerned with pulling the baseball. You see another hit to the gap in right center field. That's where his power gap point is. And remarkable as anything is that he does it in the 8th spot. He's 325 average in the 8th spot, leads the National League, and has the most hits out of that spot in the league. And it's just traditionally the toughest spot to hit in the batting order with the pitcher hitting behind you.
Don't tell that to Adeiny, who doesn't seem to be able to hit as well in other spots in the lineup. That 13-game hitting streak is the current high in the National League, and he's hit a very healthy 380 during that streak, as you can see, with 6 ribbies as well. So he'll be in the lineup tonight, defending for Kendry Flores, who makes his first Major League start against the Phillies rookie. Next on Fox Sports Florida.
Let's go places. Buy Checkers, Epic Meals, Epic Deals. And by AutoNation, save on over 70,000 vehicles now. Visit us online, AutoNation.com. See the sun starting to set in Miami. Nighttime about to take over. The Phillies and the Marlins on this Friday night. Here come the Fightin' Phils. Jam Lexus brings you their starting lineup. CESAR Hernandez, switch hitting second baseman, has been hot. Andres Blanco is at third. Odubel Herrera is in center field. Ryan Howard got the night off last night. He's at first. Cody Ashley had a pinch hit homer late. Dominic Brown's in right. Switch hitting Freddie Galvis at short. Cameron Rupp, the big man behind the plate. Jared Eichhoff in his Major League debut. Making his first Major League start is Kendry Flores.
Yeah, you want to say Kendry Flores hot off a win, and he did. He picked up a win in Milwaukee. Remember, he came in the 4th inning, bailed out Adam Conley, got a big out with runners on base, and as the game went on, the Marlins won 9-6. He was awarded the win in that ball game, his first Major League win. He becomes the 12th Marlin to start a ball game this year. And here's a young man, started the year in Double-A. He had a nice ERA. He was 3-3 in 9 starts for Jacksonville. Went on to New Orleans, was 3-2 with a 2.61 ERA. So Kendry Flores making his 7th appearance, but his first major league start.
And the question is, how long can he go? He was starting in Triple-A, but it's been a couple of weeks, and Flores has gone just an inning at a time for those 2 weeks. Dan Jennings, Mike Goff, hopeful that he's got at least 5, hopefully 6 in him tonight. Cesar Hernandez, Andres Blanco, Odubel Herrera. And this ball game is underway. Pitch Penny brought you that first pitch. Hernandez at second last night, was 2 for 5 with a double. Smokes this one to right. Ichiro off the glove, and he makes the catch. He worked on that all spring.
It's all about concentration. If you keep the concentration, you'll make this play. Ichiro was fooled a little bit. The ball was hit really hard. But you know what? He just knocked it up, pulled down the rebound himself, made the play.
So he gets credit for a bucket and a rebound. Andres Blanco, third base tonight. Blanco swings at the first pitch, knocks it in the air, deep left center. Back goes Gillespie at the wall. He makes the catch. How about that? First Ichiro's deflection catch and right, and then Gillespie forced to go 390 feet from home plate to haul that one in.
Well, 2 absolute rockets hit really well. This ball's way out at Citizens Bank in Philadelphia, but tracked down with great concentration by Cole Gillespie. Again, he has started in right, center, and left, and puts it away with ease.
Flores has thrown 3 pitches, 2 have been hit hard. And here is Odubel Herrera. And he takes a strike. Will Little's calling balls and strikes. Pat Hoberg at first. Ted Barrett at second. Angel Hernandez is at third. Herrera having a really nice year. A Rule 5 draft pick. And certainly in a season like this where you're in transition and you're the Phillies, it's a good year to take a shot at a guy like this. He was a Texas Ranger. Rule 5 means Phillies can keep him if he stays on the major league roster the whole year. Defensively, Miami tonight brought to you by BMW.
Well, we've already seen a couple of really nice plays. Gillespie, OZUNA, and Ichiro in the outfield. Prado, Echeverria, D. Gordon, Justin Bohr around the infield, and JT Realmuto behind the plate.
Pete Buchanan, who has done a really nice job trying to steady the ship after the resignation of Ryan Sandberg. See a record of 21-26, and that's for a ball club that's 47-74. That's strike 3. Herrera's not happy, voices his displeasure. How about that? Kendry Flores gets some help from his outfield, and they get to punch out to finish the first. So we go to the bottom of the first, and here's the reason why. Side view on the check swing. Will Little, the home plate umpire, said he swung.
Yeah, it was made, the call, by the home plate umpire. He didn't ask for help.
So a break, certainly, for Kendrick Flores, but he'll take it. Herrera still muttering to himself. And the Marlins dig in against a 25-year-old rookie making his major league debut, Jared Eichhoff, out of Evansville, Indiana. Big guy, Gordon greets him with a liner to left. Ashe drifts over and makes the catch. Miami's lineup, the Fish, are hot right now. They've won 4 of 5 and 7 of 10. You saw D. Gordon, he's at the top of the lineup. J.M. Lexus brings you Miami's lineup. Gordon certainly running hot right now. 11 hits in his 5-game streak. Ichiro in right, Martin Prado at third, Justin Boers at first, Marcell Ozuna homers in 2 consecutive games. Cole Gillespie, JT Realmuto, Adeiny Echeverria, Henry Flores hits ninth. And here is Ichiro, who carries a .350 average in August into this at bat. 2 for 5 last night. And Ichiro hits a high fly ball to right. Just got under that one. Domonic Brown there to make the catch.
Have some aggressive hitters in this one tonight. Here's a look at the defense for the Philadelphia Phillies. Cody Ashe gets the start. He's in left field. Odubel Herrera, Domonic Brown. So a lot of left-handed bats in the lineup tonight. Andres Blanco, Freddie Galvis, Cesar Hernandez, Ryan Howard at first base, and Cameron Rupp behind the plate.
Martin Prado takes a fastball up and in. Prado has had a nice run himself this past week. He's upped his average up to 270. He's driven in runs in 4 consecutive games, 7 RBIs total, including 3 last night. 2-run homer in the second and a sacrifice fly for an important insurance run late in the ball game.
Plus, he's hitting against a team that he has always hit very well. Over the years, against the Phillies, 15 career home runs and a lifetime .309 average.
And last night, he had some epic at-bats. Fouling off 4 or 5 pitches. His first at-bat, he walked. An 8-pitch at-bat in which he homered, second at-bat. So he's back in that mode against Eichhoff. Prado also walked twice last night. Drives it right center field. That's well hit. Herrera in full flight, and he makes the catch. Avoids Domonic Brown and robs Prado of extra bases. Some daring do in both outfields so far.
por Kendall Toyota.
Someday, Tommy, you'll be in there, the Bobblehead Museum. That's right, it's college night tonight. Some Miami fans. Got Miami fans, Florida State. A Cornell alum. Nice. And a Seminole. Ryan Howard's up. Henry Flores. Fastball that's popped foul and out of play.
Huge shift as always with Ryan Howard, the hitter. Stacked up on the right side. D. Gordon in shallow right field over toward the line. And just to give you a difference, last night the first inning took 36 minutes and 63 pitches. Tonight the first inning 9 minutes, 17 pitches.
Howard, maybe the last big start standing for the Phils. Rollins is gone. Utley is gone. Cole Hamels is gone. Papelbon gone. 2-2. High pop up. That's a towards the line. Gillespie settles and makes the catch.
It kind of falls into the scouting report for Howard. Generally on the ground he'll pull the ball. That's why the infield has the big shift. But in the outfield he's straight away or maybe even a shade toward left center. A lot of his home runs have gone to left center.
Cody Ashe now. Ashe came into the ballgame late and homered. That was in the 9th inning against AJ Ramos. Everything happened for Miami early. Everything happened for the Phillies late. Thankfully, the Marlins had built a sizable lead and held on 9-7 to win the ball game. OZUNA. Henry Flores is 23, Dominican, 6'2", 175, was a Giant until the Marlins traded Casey McGee to San Francisco last December. Ashe again lifts it to right. This is down the line and deep, and it's foul.
If you remember Cody Ashe, for the last couple of years, he was the heir apparent and supposed third baseman for the Phillies for a while. Things didn't work out there. They kind of liked him a little better in the outfield, so he went down to AAA this year, played a lot of left field. He's actually started 55 games in left field this year.
1-2 is in. You can see Ashe trying to hang in and see if that would clip him.
There was some thought of putting Ashe at third with Maikel Franco on the disabled list and really out for the year, but they decided to keep him in left.
Liner to right, Ichiro. This time snares it. No trick catch that time. Saturday Spectacular tomorrow night. Phillies Marlins, South Florida Ford Dominican Heritage Night, presented by the Dominican Republic. Pick up all you can eat seats, just $35. Marlins.com. The place to go. Beer Fest. Look at that. That was not on the note, but I see it on the screen. It jumps right out at you, Tommy. Here's Brown, who fouls at first base side. Beer Fest at the Clevelander at 4 o'clock. It's a great way to get ready for the ball game.
That's a great way to get ready for a broadcast.
Dominic Brown. You talked about Ashe not fulfilling a lot of the promise. Brown certainly is in that category. And as much as people blame the Phillies for getting old and not unloading some of those high-priced stars for younger talent before maybe it was too late to get a huge return. Some of the young players they were counting on themselves to come out of their system just haven't panned out. Brown lifts it to right. Ichiro sidles over and makes the catch. Henry Flores, 5 fly ball outs. Two of UFC's hottest rising stars will face off. Elite featherweight destroyer Max Holloway takes on dangerous double threat Charles Oliveira. Welterweight showdown, Neil Magny and Eric Silva. Catch UFC Fight Night, 6:30 Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1. And streams live on Fox Sports Go. Tommy Hutton has been training in mixed martial arts in hopes that he can join the UFC circuit.
That would be the senior circuit, but nevertheless, always looking for some different training drills for the offseason.
That's called the Champions Tour. Justin Bohr off of Eichhoff, and Bohr's got himself a base hit. Eichhoff looking at his right hand, and that's never a good sign. Phillies training staff going to come out and look at the 25-year-old rookie.
Well, the reaction, obviously, if he lets it go, his shortstop, Freddie Galvis, probably makes the play. But Justin Bohr will take the base hit. You can see it clip that right hand down near the fingers. Fingers are wide open, though. That's a good sign for the Phillies and for this young right-hander.
Eichhoff is a big guy, 6'4", 200 pounds. And he's going to throw some pitches here at Evansville, Indiana, home of former Padre and Cardinal Andy Bennis, as I remember.
When the Phillies made that trade with Texas, trading Cole Hamels to the Rangers, Matt Harrison, a left-hander who has big league time, part of that deal, but he's injured. The other players coming over to Philadelphia, minor leaguers, and one of them, Jared Eichhoff.
Ozuna. The Phillies are on Ozuna. He was a little too close to the plate while Eichhoff was throwing his warm-up toss.
Trying to get a little look at Eichhoff, who he's never seen before.
Ozuna thought his at-bat was ready to start. I don't know that he was. He came up and tapped Cameron Rupp on the back as if to say, hey, how are you? And he was ready to settle into the box. He must have just been locked in to the situation at the at-bat. He didn't see all the other Phillies standing around the mound. So here is Ozuna. Boers at first. That would have been an extreme shift, wouldn't it?
Bottom line, that just tells you that Marcell Ozuna is locked in. He feels good about his hitting. He feels comfortable getting up there to hit.
He wanted that at bat to start. 3 for his last 5, and 2 of those 3 hits home runs. Boers at first. And Ozuna hits a high pop. Galvis makes the catch.
Both sides, if you watch hitters, the Philly hitters, the Marlins hitters so far have been having really good swings.
Here's Cole Gillespie. Gillespie came in as a pinch hitter last night and was 0 for 1, and that snapped a 9-game hit streak. He really has done great work. First in a reserve role, and now in that rotation that Dan Jennings is using. Getting a start for 2 games and then a day off. Derek Dietrich in that rotation as well. Ichiro in that rotation. Little tapper. Blanco. That's close. Safe. Ryan Howard calls time, points to the dugout. Phillies will look at it, and we'll get our first look and see how close it was.
That's close. Once it got by the pitcher, you knew it would be a tough play for Blanco.
Back of glove is where the ball has to get. Back of glove. I think he's out. You can see the ball move the webbing of the glove before the foot is down in the bag. Now it has to be definitive. Hutt, if I were taking a straw poll, what would you say? Phillies think so. They're going to challenge.
I hate to say it, but I agree with you. I think he was out also. But you have to wonder if there is enough evidence back at the control center in New York to show that.
This is kind of the new agony for a hitter, isn't it? For a guy that's looking for a hit. Sometimes you get a little dribbler or you hit a line drive and it frustrates you. But here,
it's really close, though. That's what leads me to believe, is there enough to show to overturn the call?
Remember, all the views from our telecast, the Phillies telecast, and the Major League cameras are time coded. Ted Barrett, the crew chief, is out. No argument from Gillespie.
Well, bottom line, it was just a very good play by Andres Blanco and a nice stretch by Howard. On the play, on the out, Justin Bour moved on to second base.
That's got to be agony for a hitter, though, right? You're standing at first base. You have a 90% feeling that you're going to be out. But for 2 minutes, you had a hit.
Can't take that to arbitration, though.
No. Realmuto now. JT in the 7 spot. In fact, I would guess, I didn't know at the time, I didn't take notice of it, but I'll bet you they even changed his batting average up on the scoreboard to reflect the hit. Realmuto pops it up on the infield. Howard calls off the rookie and makes the catch. And Jared Eichhoff pitches around trouble in the second.
You look at Cole Gillespie, who's done a great job since being called up from New Orleans. And again, both at the plate, where he's been maybe a little bit of a surprise with an above 300 average and a very good defensive player no matter where they put him. He has very good range, and he told me he likes to play in the ballpark here because you can be more aggressive going after balls because of the distance of the wall, especially in center where he's played a lot, but even in left field where it's deeper than others. And he credits one person in particular for helping him, and that's in the minor leagues, and he's now, of course, a Marlins coach, and that's Brett Butler, who was his manager for 4 years at AAA Reno. Cole told me it was Butler who gave him his first shot at regular playing time in the minor leagues and really worked with him quite a bit on getting good jumps and also on throwing, on taking a step in front or a crow hop on his delivery to keep the ball on a good track to wherever he's throwing it. So he credits Butler, and interesting enough, gets a chance here with the Marlins. Brett Butler helps him out again on the big league level.
Thank you, Craig. Freddie Galvis at the plate. And Tommy, as Craig was talking about Cole Gillespie, yesterday you were pointing out for Gillespie, this is the best opportunity that he's been given to play at the big league level in a career that has seen a lot of minor league games and some stops in the big leagues.
Yeah, you look at his career and you see sporadic playing time. So this is the first time he's had some consistent opportunities, certainly making the most of it. And whatever happens beyond this year, I think he's proven that he can help a major league club, be it the Marlins or somebody else in the outfield.
2-2 to Freddie Galvis. Kendry Flores into the third inning of his first big league start. He does not have overpowering stuff tonight. There have been a lot of balls, including that fly ball you saw Gillespie caught. A lot of deep fly balls. And this one, a shallow fly ball to center. Ozuna running in, makes the catch.
Good changeup from Flores. Here's the oddity of Kendry Flores. Signed by the Giants out of the Dominican. He became a Marlin when the Marlins traded Casey McGee to the Giants. Now they're both Marlins.
Cameron Rupp. Jared Eichhoff right behind. So Flores has retired all 7 he's faced. 6 fly ball outs. He has an interesting delivery. Just Flores. Over the top. Soft liner that's over Gordon's head. And it gets into right field. Cameron Rupp with a broken bat hit.
Cameron Rupp getting a good look by the Phillies as to his hitting and catching skills. They'll get Carlos Ruiz a couple of games, but Rupp will catch the others.
Those two guys are enormous. They would be the makings of a nice tackle combo for an offensive line. Bohr and Rupp. Big humans.
Yeah, they are.
That one fouled at the plate. I can envision Rupp tomorrow getting picked up by Bohr, and they're heading out to the big and tall shop. Pick out a few suits. Oh, 2. Good fastball, and Eichhoff strikes out. The 2 strikeouts for Kendry Flores.
Now it's time to, maybe if needed, he may have to make some adjustments back to the top of the order, so that Philly hitters have seen him at least the one time.
Second time through, CESAR Hernandez. And along the lines of how far can he go, Flores has thrown 34 pitches and has a nice ball strike ratio.
Well, remember, he was called up in June. Flores was. Appeared in a couple of games and then went back to the minor leagues.
And really a nice body of work in the minor leagues this year. Split just about evenly between Double-A and Triple-A.
Yeah, sometimes you see a little disparity when a player makes the jump, but his number is pretty similar, both Double-A and Triple-A.
The 2-1. That one fouled at the plate. Yeah, Flores in New Orleans, 10 starts, 58 2/3 innings, 2.61 ERA. Started in Jacksonville, 9 starts, 56 innings, 2.06 earned run average. So 19 starts, 112 innings, 114 innings. Good breaking ball. Dropped in, froze Hernandez. Henry Flores, 3 nice innings, 3 strikeouts, just 1 hit. And the best curveball he's thrown all night. Park. It is a Flashback Friday. Hashtag it Flashback Marlins. Best picture wins and arrives on the set of Marlins Live postgame. That's all brought to you by Dodge. Danny Echeverria on college night. Kendry Flores and D. Gordon. Hernandez. 1 pitch, 1 out for Jared Eichhoff. And here comes Flores. On a Friday night, obviously everybody in baseball is playing. 1 game actually played this afternoon. The Cubs beat the Braves 5-3. And Chicago is now 18 over 500.
They beat Shelby Miller. The at times hard luck. He didn't pitch that well today, but has not won a game in about 3 months.
Cubs were 8.5 back of St. Louis and 4 back of Pittsburgh. So they're poised to make up some ground if those two teams were to falter.
Pittsburgh losing 5-1 to the Giants early.
How about Brian Sabian's new acquisition?
Yeah, early dividends for the Giants. Remember, they acquired Marlon Byrd. He homered his first at bat. 2-run shot for San Francisco.
St. Louis is in San Diego tonight with John Lackey against Andrew Cashner. 2-2 to Kenry Flores. Fastball up. Eichhoff having trouble pitching to the light hitting Flores. Got him with a fastball.
Talked about Flores' minor league numbers. Eichhoff, he's kind of traveled around this year. He started in Double-A in Frisco, Texas with the Rangers. Then he went to Round Rock, their Triple-A affiliate. Then when he was traded, he moved on to Lehigh Valley, the Triple-A affiliate of the Phillies.
Gordon shortens the bunt, takes a strike. Gordon lined to left, back in the first. His average at .335. Almost got clipped by that one. Bryce Harper starts the night in second place in the batting race at .330. Paul Goldschmidt has dipped to .329.
He's gone a little lower. He's 0 for 2 tonight.
That's a base hit, and down the line it goes, and Gordon's racing for second, thinking 3. Brown into the corner. D. Gordon in full flight. Brown having trouble. Gordon around third, and he'll hold there.
Good for D. Gordon. Talk about excitement. 8th triple of the year. Once it gets by Ryan Howard, you knew he was thinking 3. He hit it with some authority, so it got into that corner. But D. Gordon ups that average a little bit more. And that's why you want to continue to watch the Marlins the rest of the year. Forget about some of the other numbers, but D. Gordon with a chance to win a batting title.
Big at bat for Ichiro. 2 outs, runner at third. Eichhoff flips up a breaking ball and gets a strike. Ichiro, a fly ball to right. Couple hits last night. Couple hits closer to 3,000.
Another Marlins hitter who has hit the Phillies really well.
Ichiro to center. A lot of room there for Odubel Herrera, who makes the catch. And Gordon is left at third. A lot of runs last night, none tonight. Scoreless. Dontrelle Willis, Juan Pierre. Such a big part, both of them, that 2003 World Championship. They will be here, and the fans will honor them both. You can get a D-Train or JP t-shirt, courtesy of Miccosukee Resort and Gaming. Kids can run the bases in the Diamond Dash. Marlins.com, the place to go for tickets. Kenry Flores, first major league start, and so far so good. Lots of fly ball outs. He's got 5 of them, rather 6 of them. Giving up a single, broken bat single to Cameron Rupp. And here is Andres Blanco, Odubel Herrera, and Ryan Howard.
Rich, we were talking about that San Francisco-Pittsburgh game at PNC. Madison Bumgarner pitching for the Giants and hitting again. His 5th home run of the year.
Become one of Bruce Bochy's go-to pinch hitters.
They pinch hit the other night
when he's not starting. Nationals are at an even 500 and at home and tied with Milwaukee 1-1 in the 3rd. Mets are in Colorado tonight. Bartolo Colon at altitude. Gillespie lays out. The ball bounced off of Gillespie. The throw to second. Safe. Gordon with the tag. Lots of moving parts on that one, and everybody's kind of looking at themselves to make sure they're all right.
Yeah, you just hope everybody's all right. What a great reaction play by Echeverria to try to throw the runner out at second base. This ball just wasn't hard enough to carry to Gillespie. Great effort. He can't get it, and it caroms back toward Echeverria, who turns and fires right away. Made a good throw, but good base running by Blanco. Let's see where this ball hit him. Hit him on the wrist. He actually got there to make that catch. A difficult effort, though. Two-base hit all the way.
So a double. And now Flores pitches to Odubel Herrera. And he takes a strike. Herrera, we talked about a Rule 5 pick. And he's having a nice year, kind of rewarding the Phils for taking that chance. He's hit safely in 20 of his last 21. That's brought his average close to 300.
Well, how about this? And this tells you a little bit about his hitting ability. He won the Texas League batting title last year and then won the Venezuelan Winter League batting title.
And for whatever reason, the Rangers left him off of their 40-man roster, which exposes a guy to that Rule 5 draft. And among all rookies in the National League, appropriately, Odubel leads in doubles with 25. 3rd in hits among rookies.
I have added him to my list, Rich, of National League rookie candidates.
He lines that one over Gordon's head. That is going to score a run. Around third comes Blanco, and he will score. And the Phillies are on the board first tonight. Odubel with a single.
Got the fastball up. Odubel Herrera now on that list of Jung Ho Kang, Syndergaard, Bryant, Duffy, Heston. I think I'm putting a cross through Jock Peterson. He's tailed off quite a bit. And Randall Grichuk, who we saw recently.
Now Ryan Howard, who flied out back in the 2nd. There he goes again, going opposite way. Gillespie towards the line, backhands it. Howard around first. He's got a double. And the Phillies have gone double, single, double to open the fourth.
That's what we talked about. Second time around, Phillies are making a few adjustments, and now Kendry Flores will have to make some adjustments. Boy, over the years, Ryan Howard, this is his 160th game against the Marlins in his career. They've seen a lot of that. They've seen him hit 39 home runs against them.
Now Ashe. Nobody out, infield's back. And Ashe clobbers one. Bohr makes the catch. Can't hit it much harder.
Boy, those are two well-hit balls by Ashe. Remember, a deep fly ball his last time up. Scorched that ball. Justin Bohr right there.
Dominic Brown. .51 pitches now for Kendry Flores. Flores is taking the spot in Miami's rotation of David Phelps. Phelps a stress fracture in that forearm. Left his start in St. Louis.
You know, we talked about, Rich, the Marlins with Kendry Flores tonight have used 12 starting pitchers. That does not lead the league. I think a lot of people would be surprised at the team that leads the league in using 16 starting pitchers this year. The Dodgers.
Well, Kershaw and Greinke are pretty solid up front.
They're solid.
The rest of the gang.
Yeah, the rest of the story.
Of course, like cold, hard facts.
There it is.
Starting pitchers used. And look at Houston on that list. The Astros having just an incredible turnaround of a season.
It's interesting. That's an interesting list because you kind of have a mix of some middle ground teams, some teams on the bottom, some teams at the top.
Brown walks. Now Galvis. Flores can get out of this inning with a double play ball.
First inning that he's really been extended, not only mentally, physically, with the number of pitches he's thrown.
And I think, Tommy, because that 2-week window in which he went from AAA starter to Major League reliever, 4 appearances and 4 innings of work in those 2 weeks. That's the concern tonight. Liner to left, coming in Gillespie there. Runner tags, has it, throw home, and safe at the plate. Ball squirts by everyone. Flores picks it up. Herrera and the ball arriving at just the same time. REALMUTO never had a chance to make the catch.
I think the ball may have clipped Herrera, and that's one of those you have to charge an error to somebody, and unfortunately it'll probably be Cole Gillespie. There it is, hitting Herrera, and then the ball caroms away, allowing the other runners to move up. Yeah, hit him right in that left foot.
First base is now open, and the Marlins are going to walk Cameron Rupp and pitch to Jerad Eickhoff.
This, Rich, and I know you had a good conversation today with Chuck Hernandez, and one of the pitchers you talked to him about was Adam Conley. And this is that situation, young pitcher, not a whole lot of experience up here, not a whole lot of work to extend. And remember, after the first 3 innings against Milwaukee, Adam Conley was lights out, had 6 strikeouts. They adjusted a little. He had a little rest. Marlins had a big offensive inning. This is the same thing Flores is going through. You've got to make those adjustments second and third time around.
The Phillies certainly have adjusted. They've got 3 hits, a walk, a sacrifice fly, and 2 runs in the 4th. Here is Eickhoff. And Eickhoff gets his first big league hit into left field. Around third, here comes Brown, and he's in there with a slide. Ball kicks loose, and the Phillies get 2 more.
Well, you just don't expect the opposing pitcher making his major league debut has not had a lot of offensive opportunities in the minor leagues coming up. And what does Jerad Eickhoff do? He gets a base hit, drives in 2 runs, and again the runners advance another 90 feet, and again an error charged to Cole Gillespie in left field. A rough night for the Marlin left fielder.
That one short hop JT Realmuto. Now it's Hernandez, second and third, and 2 outs.
We've seen some pitches up, and the repertoire we've seen from Flores, the breaking ball, and some pretty good changeups. He's thrown some good changeups. But sometimes when you pitch to that opposing pitcher, and it's something Chuck told you and I a while ago, Jose Fernandez would fall into. You throw to that opposing pitcher, and you don't try to make a perfect pitch. You just go, okay, here's a fastball. He's not going to hit it. Well, Eickhoff hit it.
Hernandez swings and misses. Inning is over. Big inning for the Phillies, a 4-0 lead.
South Florida Chevy dealers. your local Chevy dealers. Visit your South Florida Chevy dealers today.
Gorgeous night here in Miami. Phillies a 4-0 lead. It's bottom 4. And that young man has to feel pretty good. Jared Eichhoff making his major league debut. He hasn't given up a run, and he's knocked in 2. Oh, that's right. It's college night. Go Gators. Can't believe John Sulzer, our critically acclaimed producer, is not here tonight to see his beloved Gator mascots.
Then again, that could have been him.
That's a good point. Jeff Wessel producing. All the college mascots are here. FIU's mascot. Albert and Alberta are the Gators. There's a liner caught on the run. CESAR Hernandez. That would be Albert. And that would be Alberta.
You know, for a young pitcher in Eichhoff's case, this is not an easy inning for him. I mean, he's got the emotions, the adrenaline going with a lead. He's got his first major league hit under his belt, a couple of RBIs. So in his case, he has to kind of tone it back down and get back in the rhythm that he was in. The good news, though, Rich, over the last 5 games, the Marlins have scored 37 runs.
Even Obi is here, the Orange Bowl mascot. Bohr laces one to right. 2 for 2 is Justin Bohr tonight. 2 of Miami's 3 hits now.
Saw a steady diet of breaking balls last night. Sees one here. It hangs up a little bit. He's out front. The hands are back. And a solid swing by Justin Bohr.
Now Marcell Ozuna. The FIU mascot is named Rory the Panther. I know you were wondering. Ozuna takes a strike. Marcell popped out in the second. Eichhoff catches the corner, 0-2.
What a nice run Marcell Ozuna has had against the Phillies. This year, 14 for 30, 467. And remember, last night his home run, that was his 5th home run in his career against Philadelphia.
Phillies on top 4-0. Ozuna pulls it foul, and while there are probably some Philly fans watching this ball game up in Philadelphia, a lot of them have just tuned in to watch the Dodgers and Houston, because Chase Utley is wearing Dodger blue and at the plate right now in the top of the 1st, hitting second in the Dodgers lineup.
Hitting behind Jimmy Rollins.
Oh, that one's crushed left field and deep. A laser off the wall. Bourne to third. Lenny Harris is going to send him. There's going to be a play at the plate. High throw, and Bourne is tagged out. OZUNA with a double, but the Marlins lose a run at the plate. It took an acrobatic play by Cameron Rupp to get him.
Boy, another shot by Marcell OZUNA on a breaking ball. He hit it so hard. It comes off that fence. Ashe has to get it. Gets it back into the cutoff man, Freddie Galvis. His throw a little high, but a terrific play by Cameron Rupp, the catcher. 7-6-2 on the putout.
We talked about how two big men were standing at first base together. Well, there they were in action. Rupp stretching to the limit to catch it, and Bourne trying to perform a matrix type slide to get out of the way of the tag.
I think Lenny Harris had to do that over again. With the score as it is, he probably would have held Justin Bourne at third. You don't have all that time to think, though, if you're Lenny Harris.
Gillespie behind in the count, 0-2. Little pop, shallow center. Hernandez out. Miami has a runner thrown out at the plate and comes up empty in the fourth.
And a lot of people are celebrating in their school colors, but nobody more so than Kelly Sacco, as you know, the in-game host here at Marlins games. Look at you, a former outstanding softball player at Syracuse.
This is true, and hey, your alma mater as well.
I have the orange and blue tie on here as well. But Kelly, you look at this. She's got the sneaks. Tell me what you got going here.
All right, I've got to be decked out. This is my alma mater. I did play softball here at Syracuse, so I got to start with the Chucks. Thank you, Mom, for Christmas.
Okay, what else?
Okay, then we're going to work our way up to Q softball. We won 2 Big East championships at these 2 big rings here.
These champions softball. You even got the on your.
Even the fingernails. We even got to do the fingernails, guys. We got the Syracuse S, and of course, in softball fashion, we've got the adorable ribbons. Very girly. Got to girl it up.
Very nice. And the good-looking Nike softball, that was not the same one you guys wore because you weren't in the ACC, right?
No. Back when I played, we were in the Big East. So this is their new updated jerseys. But, you know, got to support the kids who are there now, too. And you're decked out, too. I don't know if everyone can tell.
I don't know. I think you're overdoing it a little bit with all the stickers. But it's nice to be with another fellow orange man or lady. They used to be the orange woman, but now it's just orange, right?
Just orange now.
All right, guys.
How about you two sing the alma mater?
I don't know the words. I know the tune. Do you know the alma mater words?
I do not. I know that's sad. Don't tell anyone. Shh.
Sorry, Rich.
Well, just make sure you put a little something in the mail to the alumni.
Can we do one more thing, Rich? Could I impose on you? I got to show you something here. Come here. Take a look at this sign here. After this ground ball. Now I saw this girl here. Tell me what your name is.
Marlene.
Your name really is Marlene.
Oui, Marlene.
She's from France.
Ah oui.
Nice to meet you. Marlene is our actual name, guys. How do you like that?
Very nice. Though she did not go to Syracuse.
Did not.
Odubel Herrera is up. And Henry Flores trying to get through this 5th inning. It was a rough ride for him in the 4th. Phillies sent 9 men to the plate. 4 of them scored.
I think an important inning for Flores to come back here in the 5th after giving up the 4 runs. And so far he's made some pretty good pitches here.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Chase Utley, by the way, was retired. It does look really odd to see him in Dodger blue, though he grew up in Southern California, Long Beach. Herrera reaches out, lines it softly to left, and it falls in front of Cole Gillespie. Herrera's got 2 hits. Howard coming up. So is a Marlins Live pregame tomorrow night. Aaron Harang, Justin Nicolino, South Florida Honda dealers. Bring you Marlins Live.
Yeah, Chase Utley from Jeff Conine's alma mater, UCLA.
Howard gets into that one, drills it right center field. It's in the gap. It bounces off the wall. Odubel Herrera speeding around third on his way home, and he will score. 5-0 Phillies. And Ryan Howard has a pair of doubles.
Well, we saw him double down the left field line back in the 4th inning. This time he finds that gap. One hop off the State Farm sign. Odubel Herrera showing a little speed, scoring all the way from first.
Cody Ashley fouls it back. Cody Ashley has hit the ball hard twice and has nothing to show for it. He lined to right, he lined to first. Remember last night, a pinch hit homer in the 9th. Eric Cordier starting to loosen up for Miami. Flores hit 79 pitches. Talking to Dan Jennings tonight about pitch count, how long could Flores go? He said they're just going to watch and see how he reacts and see how it goes. As we talked about, the fourth was a real struggle.
Well, I think the key, they would love to see him get through this inning, and this would probably be it. For him, he's due up third. So it would help you, it would help Dan Jennings work his bullpen. But if he has to bring in somebody here, then he'd pinch hit for that pitcher when he comes up the bottom half. So that's why I'm sure they'd like to see Kendry get through this inning.
That's a long ways out there. Ozuna gets around it. Howard thought about it. Remember, Ozuna's got the great arm. Ashe is out number 2, and Dominic Brown comes to the plate. You know, the funny thing is, I guess the ironic thing, it's a better word than funny. The Marlins have plenty of long men, but they're all in the rotation now. The guys that they've brought up to fill that long man role are guys that are now getting starts. Flores, one of those guys. Conley was one of those guys. Brad Hand, one of those guys. And so now, if you look down at that bullpen, really the only true long guy is Chris Narvis,
who has, in his major league career, here's the ironic part about that, started more games than any of those that you mentioned combined.
And Narvison threw 2 2/3 innings in that last game on Wednesday in Milwaukee. So if the Marlins can avoid him and give him an extra day, that would be nice. Right now all bets are off, because the Phillies have 5 runs and halfway through this ball game are shutting out Miami. 5-0 Vikings. That's a great whistle, isn't it? That is a great whistle. Pirates and Marlins on a Monday. That starts a 4-gamer. And, of course, the Pirates are playing so well right now. 7:10 on Monday. All you can eat, KM beef franks, peanuts, popcorn, nachos, Pepsi, Aquafina water, $30. First responders with an ID get complimentary tickets. Marlins.com. JT Realmuto and Danny Echeverria, and then a pinch hitter you would expect for Kenry Flores. And a 5-0 Phillies lead.
To the credit of Jared Eichhoff, he's managed this game pretty well. Fastball's been around 92, 94. Some good breaking balls. That last pitch, a good one to JT.
Realmuto popped out. That would be strike three. Eichhoff really has settled in. He got some help from his defense. When Bohr was thrown out at the plate, that short circuit in Miami's fourth. And he dots the outside corner with a curveball.
Yeah, it's kind of an in-between curved slider. Good sharp break, good bite. He found the corner.
Now Echeverria popped out in the third. That one fouled back. So the Dodgers are in Houston. Chase Utley is in the lineup. The Giants are in Pittsburgh and beating the Pirates 6-2. San Francisco 2.5 back in the West. Edge got it off the end of the bat. And it's Miguel Rojas who will hit.
So far in that game in Pittsburgh, Marlon Byrd 2 for 2 with that 2-run homer, a couple of RBIs.
Rojas, the pinch hitter. Can you pinpoint what's gone wrong in Washington? Milwaukee leads the Nats 2-1 in the bottom of the fourth.
No, a lot of people would disagree with this, but I think they don't have chemistry, and it was really hurt, I thought, a little bit, and it happened here when they acquired Papelbon. And all of a sudden, a guy had been closing out games successfully. Drew Storen was pushed to the 8th inning. He's been horrible since that time. They have had injuries. There's no question about that. They haven't had a consistent lineup. That's one of the other things you can point to. And I think Matt Williams is on the hot seat for next year.
Is it his fault that the team doesn't have chemistry?
To a degree, I think you have to look at the manager. And then you have the case of the highly paid Max Scherzer, who lost last night. He's 11-10, but has a 279 earned run average. In his 10 losses, he's received 3 earned runs or fewer in each of those losses. So, I mean, he just can look at the offense and say that's why his record's 11-10.
Rojas strikes out. Jared Eichhoff, making his major league debut, has thrown 5 shutout innings. 5-0. Phil's on top. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Eric Cordier, who made his Marlins debut up in Milwaukee. Marlins, in bringing Cordier in, also have brought Derek Dietrich into the game in left field. And your first inclination is it's an odd place for a double switch, but I don't know that it's a double switch. And maybe the help of Cole Gillespie has forced the issue.
Remember, on that diving attempt, the ball hit the wrist. So there possibly could be something going on there.
Galvis into center field with a base hit. Now, looking up at the scoreboard in terms of the lineup, Dietrich's in the 9th spot, and Cordier is slotted behind OZUNA in the 6th position.
Why would you do that?
I don't know that that scoreboard is official.
Yeah, I don't think that's right. Because you would just do it straight up and have the pitcher hit in the 9th spot. Because then you can go through 8 hitters before you have to get to him.
We will try to get clarification on the Marlins batting order as Cordier tries to get outs. Galvis a base hit. Cameron Rupp is up. Cordier, born and raised in Wisconsin. Some small town I've never heard of. Green Bay, which amazingly is not a huge city.
And he wasn't a Cowboys fan either.
No.
Boy, he admitted. I love to hear a player just flat out admit that he had the butterflies. And he had some games with the Giants last year, but pitching in his hometown.
Makes a good pitch on a broken bat. Rupp dumps it into left. And it's kicked there by Dietrich. Not stopping is Galvis, and he's going to score. And the Marlins get sloppy, and it cost them. That'll be their 3rd error. All of them have come in left field.
First of all, there wouldn't have been an error charge, even though he kicked it, because Galvis never stopped. He was going to make third base because this ball wasn't hit that hard. But then after he bobbled it, right there, he looks. He doesn't look where Galvis is going. And he throws it into second. Galvis never stopped, and he scored easily. So it will be an error charge to Derek Dietrich.
Now Eichhoff, 6-0 Phils. Eichhoff bunting. Does. It's a fair ball out there. And Eichhoff, a good athlete, got up the line quite quickly, avoids the double play. So no RBI on the Rupp base hit. And no sacrifice on the Eichhoff bunt.
No, for the most part, the Marlins have been able to hold it together and play pretty solid. I said for the most part. Tonight's not one of those nights.
In their last 4 ball games, Miami has committed 9 errors. So they've come in bunches lately. Fouled out of play. We're talking about the Nationals earlier. They did call up their top prospect, Trey Turner. He was 22, was in Syracuse. He was at the movie theater when he got called up. Here's a 1-1. And Cordier slips. It's a balk. It's going to move Eichhoff to second. What movie do you think he was watching, Tommy? Because they did select him straight out of Syracuse.
I'm not sure some of the ones that are out now.
Straight out of Compton.
Oh.
I think they'll get 2 thumbs up from Turner.
Yeah, that's one you don't stay for the ending either.
No, it's like, I'm going up. All right, see ya.
You don't reload on popcorn.
No. Here's a look at the stumble.
Was it last night? A Houston pitcher, McHugh, I think, did that.
On to first. Of course, when
there was nobody on base.
Yeah.
And he threw the pitch to the plate, and the hitter hit a little chopper right to him where he'd stumbled to. He made the out.
Of course, when you see that, you think about Chad Qualls.
Oh.
And Qualls, who caught a spike not during the pitch, but after a strikeout and during his fist pump. Here's Andres Blanco. Blanco doubled in the 4th. All Phillies tonight, 6-0. That man's been a tough out tonight. Odubel Herrera's 2 for 3. Ryan Howard has 2 doubles. Cameron Rupp in that 8th spot with 2 hits.
I tell you, these top 3 guys are tough outs. Hernandez, Blanco, and Herrera. You got a couple of switch hitters in Hernandez and Blanco.
Gordon has to wait, and Bohr gets back in time. Phillies get a run, an unearned run. It's 6-0. Lots of college colors around. The Fan Express Tommy Hutton is back. And you know what? If your fraternity or sorority or your group, neighbors, work, want to come to a ball game, 305-480-2523, and you can book this luxury motor coach or email groups@marlins.com. Can you book this in the off season?
I think you and I ought to look into that.
Does it have to be for a baseball game? Can we take it like to South Beach on an October night?
Hey, maybe take it now to a Heat game. There you go.
D. Gordon takes a pitch down low. Gordon has tripled and lined out.
You know our buddy Jason Jackson will leave his tickets.
Yes, he will. Now, these are the at-bats, Tommy Hutton, in a ballgame where it's 6-0. If you're D. Gordon and you're going to win a batting title, you can't give any of these at-bats up. D's done a nice job all year of not doing that. He's got a dozen hits in his last 6 games.
Yes, it has had 5 straight multi-hit games.
That's just
caught it
at the hollow of the knee. There's a walk, and that may seem insignificant, but we talked about it last night. When you win a batting title, you mix in a few walks down the stretch. It makes you a little more selective. Turns a 1-for-4 night into a 1-for-3 night. And it all adds up. As we expected, Cole Gillespie left the ball game with a sore left wrist. Ichiro now. A couple fly balls to right. There's a ground ball. Nice play there. Ichiro beats it easily, though. Hernandez stretched to the limit. And Ichiro has a hit. And the Marlins have a little something going here in the 6th.
Well, number 2,922 for Ichiro. And it's also the Marlins' 131st infield hit this year. That's the most in the major leagues.
Here is Prado. Jared Eichhoff, his major league debut. 5 shutout innings. He's given up just 5 hits. And here's Prado. Flied to center and lined out. Bohr is 2 for 2, and then Ozuna, who doubled his last at bat. Remember, the Marlins had Justin Bohr thrown out at the plate with 1 out in the 4th. Prado lines to center. Herrera back. Gordon tags on his way to 3rd, then stops and just gets back to 2nd. Freddie Galvis is an active shortstop, and he will throw behind you. He's the guy that threw out Bohr at the plate.
It's a good play by Herrera, who gets it in quickly. He knew D. Gordon was the runner at 2nd. Good reactions by D to get back. Wow.
Prado hits it on the nose. Now Bohr.
Bohr's had good swings tonight. A couple of base hits. He's been able to stay back a little bit on the breaking balls he's seen.
Genmar Gomez. Nice play.
I'm sure the Phillies and Pete Buchanan will feel very good if they're able to get their young pitcher through 6 innings. As far as we know, Pete Buchanan, the only major league manager that's been an interim manager 3 different times.
And had some success in all of those stops.
Yeah. Always well respected as either a bench coach or a third base coach.
Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. And now Philly.
Let's see if he has any University of Illinois colors on.
4 strikes out. Eichhoff goes up with some heat. And after Miami got the first 2 runners aboard, it's down to Marcell Ozuna.
It's probably too tough to adjust to and a little too late. But fractions of seconds before this pitch, the center fielder, Odubel Herrera, shifted 3 or 4 steps in the left center, telling you that he knew a fastball was coming to Justin Bour. But it's tough to see that as a hitter.
Here is Ozuna. He doubled off the wall in the 4th. As expected. Now remember, we suspected that Dietrich was not in the 9 spot. He appears on deck, so it was not a double switch. The scoreboard was wrong. A lot of people up in the press area thought Dietrich was hitting 9th. In fact, he's a straight swap for Gillespie, who left with a sore wrist.
As expected on that sinking line drive double.
Justin Nicolino, Aaron Harang. That's tomorrow night. On Sunday, Phillies' top pitching prospect, Austin Nola. Or excuse me, Aaron Nola. I gotta get that straight. Austin is his brother, who is in AAA with the Marlins. He's an infielder. Aaron Nola on Sunday. That is a foul ball. Barely foul. That is reviewable, though. The Marlins can look at this replay since it landed beyond that first base umpire. Though Ozuna didn't put up much of an argument.
Yeah, he had a good view. I think he broke his bat. He's exchanging the broken one for a new one. You always want to tell the bat boy, make sure you bring me the one with the hit in it.
What was the name of the bat boy in the natural? Remember when he broke the Wonder Boy?
Oh, I forget.
Pick me out a good one, Jimmy.
Jimmy.
I don't know. We'll double check. That's why we have a research department. Is it Bobby? Pick me out a good one. 2-2. Jared Eichhoff strikes out Marcell Ozuna. Major league debut, 6 shutout innings. the 7th. Wednesday, Pirates, Marlins, kids eating free. It's a Wednesday. Every child 12 and under with a ticket will get a coupon for a free KMB Frank bag of Frito-Lay chips, small Pepsi, or Aquafina water. Marlins.com. Get your tickets for Kids Eat Free Wednesday. Odubel Herrera.
We've talked about the 5-game stretch where the Marlins have scored 37 runs. The downside to that, they've allowed 27 during that 5-game span.
6 tonight, 3 errors by Miami. Herrera fouls it back. He's 2 for 3. Got Howard on deck, couple doubles.
Milwaukee with a 5-1 lead now against the Nationals in D.C.
Dietrich charges in, slides, and makes a nice catch.
Tell you what, left field tonight's been an action position. It's been a tough night for anybody out there. Good job by Dietrich getting over, getting down, and making the play.
John Chimchuk, our baseball historian tonight, and he went back in Marlins history and found that this is the first time Miami has had 3 errors from left fielders in the same game. Longest tenured athletes, Philadelphia pros. Ryan Howard since 2004.
Well, we mentioned too, it's been quite a career. 353 career home runs. 6 times in his career 30 or more.
By the way, the quote from Roy Hobbs was, "Go pick me out a winner, Bobby." With Ryan Howard as the whammer. Flips that one down the left field line, and it's foul. Derek Cordier, second inning in relief. This was a night where the Marlins were hoping Kenry Flores could get deep. As it is, Flores was able to give Miami 5 innings but he did give up 5 runs.
This is kind of hard to believe, Rich. Ryan Howard has a couple of doubles tonight. He's only had one game his entire career where he's hit 3 doubles in a game.
Swing and a miss. Down he goes.
And that was back in 2008.
Kodiashi now. And the Nationals could fall below 500 again. 5-1, as you pointed out. Milwaukee on top of Washington, and that's in D.C.
Rough night for Gio Gonzalez.
Yeah, you know who's pitching in relief now? Doug Fister. Enough said. Here's the 2-0. Out of play. That got him hopping up there. Very cool. You got 3 generations, it looks like, there. And Dad's on the phone right now calling home.
What's going on there? Looks like they're getting ready for something.
They should just have, instead of the sea creatures, let all the college mascots race tonight.
Maybe they're doing that.
That's a ground ball base hit. Kodiashi. Remember all the hardline drives he hit early in the ball game? Ground ball finds the outfield. And that brings up Dominic Brown. Mets are underway. Rockies and Mets 1-1. Top second.
The guy who's been hot, homered for the Rockies off Bartolo Colon. Carlos Gonzalez, 29th home run.
Carlos Gonzalez appeared on the show briefly last night, but we'll remind you again, we were talking about D. Gordon trying to chase down a batting title and the possibility of winning a Gold Glove. Last to do it was Cargo in 2010. And before him in 2009 in the American League, Joe Mauer did it. Certainly that's a difficult double to achieve. Batting title and Gold Glove.
Then if you throw in stolen base title,
now you're really making it tough. But I've got the answer when we get back.
Only one player
in Major League history's done that. You've got Sebastian the Ibis. I have not seen Florida State's mascot.
And I know one of our crack staff members checked in and was wondering where the Seminole mascot is.
May have had something to do with planting the spear at second base. Genmar Gomez takes over. What a debut for the 25-year-old out of Evansville, Indiana, Jared Eichhoff. He was outstanding tonight, and he had a big hit in the ball game. He drove in 2 with his first major league single. He went 6 innings, all scoreless, 5 hits, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. Now the Philly bullpen will try to lock it down. Dietrich blasts one to right. That's deep. That's gone. And Miami's on the board.
He can flat out hit. Came into the game after the wrist injury to Cole Gillespie. Derek Dietrich in his first AB sees 1 pitch and hits it out for home run number 9.
Here is REALMUTO. Denny Echeverria will follow. Miami finally on the board. Still a ways to go.
Dietrich's 3rd home run this month. Remember that blast in Milwaukee? It was out by a lot.
2-1. Deck chairs in the bullpen shuffled, obviously, with the trade of Jonathan Papelbon. The Phillies' pen overall has had a nice year. What a disparity in ERAs. The starters for the Phillies, an ERA of 5.46. The bullpen 3.57. Bob McClure's Phils. That's a big disparity. In the last 30 games, the Phillies pen is under 3. 2.89. Bob McClure, 19 years in the big leagues. Ken Giles.
Bob McClure had a long career.
REALMUTO trying to punch that through the right side. Strikes out. Dodge presents a Flashback Friday. Hashtag your photo. Flashback Marlins. And Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine will talk about it and show it on Marlins Live.
Well, that's trying to extend that hitting streak. 0 for 2 tonight, trying to extend it to 14 straight.
Ball and a strike. Houston has scored first in that Dodger game. Division leaders meeting in Houston. 2-0. Astros bottom 3, and the Mets have forged a 3-1 lead in the second in Colorado.
Mets getting a home run by Yoenis Cespedes. He's also doubled in the game. Cespedes now with 4 RBIs, so they've extended that lead.
Two and two. Cardinals out on the coast. Padres tonight. Cubs have already won. Chris Coghlan hit his 14th home run. The Cubs beat Atlanta 5-3. 15th, excuse me. That one fouled at the plate. So our friend Chris Coghlan enjoying the ride with the Cubs. Yoenis Cespedes. Jerry Seinfeld's favorite player. Not Festivus, but Cespedes. Grand slam, 7-1 Mets. That's still in the second in Colorado. It very well may be, Tommy, that in October, Met fans look back at the night they traded for Carlos Gomez and it didn't go through. And instead, they got, in most people's opinion, a better player than Yoenis Cespedes.
And it's been a bit of a slow start for Gomez with Houston.
Chopper to short, Galvis on the run.
You talked about Houston with a 2-0 lead against the Dodgers. The Astros got those 2 runs on a Jake Brisnick 2-run homer.
And that brings up the name that the Marlins really haven't seen much of all year. And are hopeful that before the year is out, he's on the mound and pitching. Jared Kozar.
Casey McGee getting a pinch hit appearance. Good news on Carter Capps. Remember, he had a bullpen and everything came out fine. Feels good today and will probably throw another tomorrow on Saturday.
Derek Dietrich homering here in the 7th. His initial at bat of the night. Bearclaw in the bullpen. One, two. McGee a chopper over the middle. And Hernandez throws him out. Genmar Gomez in relief. Derek Dietrich. Blasts one to right. Dietrich, his 9th of the season. High-def highlights.
Well, the Phillies put up a 4 spot in that 4th inning. Odubel Herrera with an RBI base hit. Freddie Galvis was able to produce. Run coming in to score. But how about this? They got a single and 2 RBIs from their pitcher, Jared Eichhoff. His first major league hit, his first major league RBIs. In the 5th inning, Ryan Howard got one of his 2 doubles tonight. Drove in a run with that. They picked up another run in the 6th. A base hit by Rupp. The bobble, and then the throw to the plate gets away. It's been a rough night in left field for Cole Gillespie and Derek Dietrich. Not a rough night at the plate for Dietrich. His only at bat when he came in the game for Gillespie. His 9th home run of the year. And that brings on Kyle Bearclaw to come in and pitch here in the 8th inning.
Bearclaw's 6th appearance in the big leagues in a 6-1 Philly lead. Comes in and throws a couple strikes to Freddie Galvis. Has the bottom 3rd of the order. Galvis, Rupp, pitcher spot. Phillies bullpen is active. Bearclaw misses away. Bearclaw, like a lot of Miami relievers, you see Garcia in the pen. Luis Garcia has been worked lately. Bearclaw on Tuesday through a couple innings. Echeverria, a little bobble, and it almost cost him against Galvis, but he gets him at first.
That's a way to stay with it. As he tried to make the transfer, the ball kind of climbed out of his glove a little. Right there. He cradles it and recovers nicely.
Cameron Rupp in the 8th spot, 2 for 2, both singles. Intentionally walked. Drives it to center. Ozuna back. And he makes the catch. With September and October on the horizon, MLB.TV Premium is a must. It's the #1 live streaming sports service. Every out-of-market game live. Well over 400 devices. They're pushing 500 devices now. And you get a free At Bat 15 subscription. And of course, in the mail, you will receive a pitch tracking widget. This is the youngster last night that hopped in there We didn't really have a chance to talk much about him.
Darnell Sweeney.
Yeah, Darnell Sweeney.
Born in Hollywood. Went to American Heritage High School.
The second major league at bat. Came over from the Dodgers in the Utley trade. He was leading the Pacific Coast League in stolen bases at the time of the trade. Also had 30 doubles. Swing and a miss. Dug out by Realmuto. And he fires down to first. Nice clean inning from Kyle Barraclough. The plate. 6-1. Phil's on top. Marcell Ozuna. And this was the fourth inning. A Rand Eye Vision Cam. Freddie Galvis's relay. That's two big men at the plate. And Rupp stretches out to get Justin Bour. That was costly for the Marlins. Obviously, it prevented a run. It was the second out of that fourth. The Marlins would not score in the inning. It's a D. Gordon, Ichiro, Martin Prado kind of inning. Here in the bottom of the eighth. D. Gordon is 1 for 2. He's lined out, tripled, and walked. His average sits at 336. That's when you know you've had a lot of at-bats. When you go 1 for 2 and your average doesn't budge. Luis Garcia in. And Gordon chops that one over the middle. That's going to be a base hit. Gordon actually started to take an angle like he was going to take a turn, and then quickly realized the ball didn't get through the infield and kind of straightened out. So 2 hits for Gordon. And D continues. He's hit 6 straight. And he's got 13 hits in those 6 ball games.
Once that ball got into that area, you knew infield base hit all the way for D. Gordon.
You can see just a little bit. He almost thought about starting that angle for the turn at first. Now Ichiro. Earlier tonight we were talking about Ichiro and D. Gordon and the success that they've had. For Gordon, we're talking about, hey, winning a batting title and a Gold Glove. He's a candidate for both. Ichiro, base hit into left field. And then Tommy Hutton one-upped it. Tommy Hutton said, all right, batting title, Gold Glove. How about a stolen base title at the same time? Because D. Gordon, you know, if Hamilton stays on the shelf, D. Gordon can get that as well. Only one player in baseball history has ever done that. Batting title, Gold Glove, stolen base title. No, not Jackie Robinson. He's standing at first base. Ichiro. There he is. Only guy to do it. 2001.
And another two-hit game. You know, we were talking earlier about D. Gordon, and last year he had such a solid first half. He tailed off a little bit the second half for the Dodgers. That's not been the case this year. So far, since the All-Star break, and D hit .338 before the break, he's over .330 now since the All-Star break.
Out at second, safe at first. Nice job by Ichiro to scamper past CESAR Hernandez. And that brings up Moore with runners at the corners.
So D has been just as consistent here the second half as he has been, and he was the first half. Ichiro, right there as a runner, you just want to make sure you don't get tagged. He didn't get tagged, but he made and forced them to go to second for the out there.
Now Bourne. And he pulls it foul. So Miami's down 6-1. Gordon has 2 hits tonight. His National League leading average is at .338. Ichiro has got 2 hits tonight. And Ichiro is now 77 hits shy of 3,000.
Well, Ichiro came into the game hitting over .350 in August.
Galvis turns the double play, and Miami comes up empty despite 2 hits to open the 8th. South Florida Honda dealers and by Kubota. For more information or to find a participating dealer, go to FloridaKubotaDealers.com. In Miami tonight, Phillies a 6-1 lead. A lot of opportunities for the Marlins, but only 1 run tonight. Here's Hernandez. And a breaking ball for a strike. It's a 4-game weekend series. 7 o'clock game tomorrow night, 1 o'clock game on Sunday. Big hop for Echeverria. And he throws out the speedy Hernandez. Geico presents this date in Major League history. Phillies 9 runs in the top of the 9th. Beat the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium.
I was working that game with Chris Berman on ESPN.
Really?
Yes.
Had you did you have one foot out the door and figure?
Well, I'll tell you the funniest story about that. It was Chris Berman's entree to doing baseball, 1990. First year ESPN did baseball. He had not done a lot of games. He'd not kept score a lot. Because the score was so lopsided, he quit keeping score in the 7th inning. A cardinal sin. Boy, did we have some great shots of Lasorda on the Dodger bench.
Were you able to carry his post-game press conference? Hopefully no one asked him about Kingman or Bavacqua.
What did you think of that Philly 9th inning?
Ken Giles in the pen. Three and 2.
Tell you what, Kyle Bearclaw's thrown some nice pitches working here in the 2nd inning. Had a nice 1, 2, 3, 8 strikeout.
Kendrick Flores started the game, 5 runs in 5 innings. If it missed, it just missed. Let's take a look. Wow. It's out, not by much. Now Herrera is 2 for 4. Well, the Marlins and the Phillies may be in the basement of the East, but they're going to see the Nationals. They're going to see the Mets a lot between now and October 4th. That's when the Marlins and the Phillies will end the season in Philadelphia. One and 2 to Herrera. Blanco the runner at first. No swing. Remember Herrera back in that first inning, the pitch which was
Kind of the same.
Yeah, almost exactly the same. Will Little, the home plate umpire, on a swing like that, said he went around. That was strike 3. He and Herrera had a brief chat. Bearclaw off the mound. Nice throw there. Etch's turn. Good play by Bohr to save the ball and keep Herrera at first.
I was just thinking, wasn't it Odubel Herrera who made a couple of great catches in Colt Hamels' no-hitter?
Well,
okay.
You got to specify great.
Kind of misplayed it and then slipped on the warning track, but it was.
And in Herrera's defense, he's an infielder.
Yes.
And they're looking for a place to play because he was a Rule 5 draft pick as an infielder. They figured maybe they'd throw him out in center field. Yeah, the last one was
the last out.
Face plant on the warning track. Howard takes out. Games of interest tonight. Milwaukee's just added a run and has the bags loaded in the 7th, 7-2, beating the Washington Nationals. Mets have a grand slam from Yoenis Cespedes. And it's only the 3rd inning, but the Mets lead the Rockies 7-2.
Giants have a 3-hit game already from Marlon Byrd. Hit a home run his first debut.
Boy, wouldn't that be something if Bird sparks the Giants into the postseason? There are so many guys who you just didn't expect it from in September and then October for the Giants in their 3 World Championships. Cody Ross in 2010. Marco Scutaro in 2012. Another blast from Howard opposite field. And it bangs off the wall, bounces by Dietrich. Herrera around third, coming home, and he scores for the 3rd time tonight. And Tommy Hutton, you were waiting for it. That's his 3rd double of the night.
Just the 2nd time in his career that he's had 3 doubles in a game. The last time was in 2008. Ryan Howard has had some really good swings. We've seen him over the years so often that we've seen him in good spells, we've seen him in bad spells. He's in a groove right now. When you see him hit balls the way he has to left field, and then one of his doubles was into right center.
Here's Ashe. I don't know that Howard will ever get the full use of his legs back in his swing, because he's an immensely strong man. And a lot of the swings we've seen tonight have been almost all upper body.
Upper body, and he raked one off the deep left field wall. That's how strong he is.
Of course, he suffered that torn Achilles in the postseason. Say 2011.
It was the last out of the year for the Phillies.
That was the division series. Swing and a miss. Ashe goes down. Phillies add a run, 7-1 to the bottom of the 9th. Buchanan trying to even this series. Checkers presents Marlins Live. Jared Eichhoff in his major league debut was outstanding for the Phils. 6 shutout innings. Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine will power up the lunar module out there in center field. Well, you thought maybe Ken Giles at the end of the night, but the lead is 7-1. So Hector Neris is in for the Phillies.
So it's been Gomez, Garcia, and now Neris.
Some individuals have had nice nights. D. Gordon's got 2 hits, padding his National League leading totals in hits and batting average. That man blasted his 9th homer of the season. His only at bat, Derek Dietrich. Ichiro's got 2 more hits. He continues a red hot August, with his average getting up to 360 in the month. Marcell Ozuna has doubled in 3 trips. Ozuna, Dietrich, Realmuto. Fastball under the hands of Ozuna.
I think we've seen some good swings from Ozuna tonight. He has 1 base hit, a double. Just missed another extra base hit, and the ball was just foul. It's tough when your 2 guys at the top of the order, D. Gordon and Ichiro, are 4 for 7, and neither scored.
Well, you Kent Giles fans, stay tuned. You might see him here in the 9th. Reese can't find the strike zone. Ozuna slices that one to right. Dominic Brown makes a catch.
Another good swing by Ozuna.
Here now is Dietrich. Really a lot to like about 2015 and Derek Dietrich. Got back to the big leagues, proved that he could come off the bench and be an effective pinch hitter, and is proving right now that he can do some damage in the big leagues. Now 9 homers to go with 9 doubles in 55 games. His slugging percentage is well over 500. His on base percentage is over 380.
And he's done all that damage, the 9 home runs, with 147 at bats. That's all.
Fouls that one off. This is the first pitch that Genmar Gomez threw.
Fastball, belt high, and he belted it.
Dietrich strikes out. Changeup, and a good one. Last shot for the Fish. JT Realmuto. liner to left, and the Phillies win the ball game. REALMUTO line